All right, let's talk about Silver Surfer Volume 3, issues 1 through 14. I'm also going to talk about the supervillain classic starring Galactus and the origin of Galactus. And then there's another one in there as well, because if you check out the description of the video, there is going to be a book there. If you don't want to collect these issues individually, like me, I collect the comic books. I like to read the comic books. But if you just want to read all these in one book, then you can go ahead and check that out in the description of this video. It'll help support the channel if you're interested in it. You know, only check it out if you're interested in it. If I've convinced you to go ahead and read this series. I found it weird that they called the comic book with Galactus Supervillain Classic. Also, it said issue 1, and I looked up. It's like, oh, that's probably pretty cool. Okay, we'll learn about other supervillains and like their origin stories and whatnot. But that's the only issue. I didn't see any other ones on Supervillain Classics. So I guess they just went with Galactus and they just called it a day. But it's weird that they call him a supervillain because for a lot of the Silver Surfer series, 1 through 14, it kind of goes over the fact that Galactus is not a villain. Galactus isn't a hero, but he's not a villain. He's neither good nor bad. He just is what he needs to be. Part of the universe. And apparently I found out reading Silver Surfer that he is just as important as death and eternity. So they're like the 3 pillars of reality. And if you take away any of them, then reality would just kind of like cease to exist. I didn't realize Galactus was that important or Galactus was that powerful before checking out this series. So it's actually pretty cool. So in addition to getting more about Silver Surfer, you get a lot more about Galactus. So if you're interested in Galactus, then this is something that you should check out for sure. So if you're collecting these comic books, you don't necessarily need the Supervillain Classic for Galactus. I picked it up just because I wanted to review everything that's going to be in the book that has all these issues in it. It goes over Galactus's origin story, which is kind of relevant to the main plot in the first 14 issues of this series. But it's not like you won't be like super lost if you just read the issues 1 through 14 in Silver Surfer and you don't check out this Supervillain Classic comic book featuring Galactus. So you'll be fine. So Volume 3 of the Silver Surfer. It starts off with the Silver Surfer finally escaping Earth. And the person who finds out how he can break free from Galactus's barrier might surprise you. I'm not going to say who it is, but it might surprise you. So Galactus, in case you're wondering where this takes place, Silver Surfer obviously betrayed Galactus and helped the Fantastic Four save Earth. And then so Galactus was like, all right, well, you went back on our agreement. And so you are now bound here to Earth. You no longer are going to be able to soar the spaceways. You're just going to have to, zip around Earth for the rest of your life. And there's an invisible barrier up there. And so Silver Surfer has not been able to break free from it. And that's all what Volume 1, I think, of Silver Surfer was basically just him stuck on Earth and trying to navigate that. Also in these issues, we see the true death of Norrin Radd. And so once Silver Surfer kind of breaks free from Galactus's barrier, he goes and checks on, Zenla, and bad things have happened to Zenla because Silver Surfer went back on his promise to Galactus about, and so Galactus spared Zenla because Silver Surfer promised to be his herald. So if Silver Surfer breaks his promise, then Galactus is no longer bound by his oath either. Zenla's not destroyed, but it's not in good shape either. And so in this, we see the death of Norrin Radd, and we see the Silver Surfer finally take over. And the first 2 issues are kind of about putting to rest the old chapter of Silver Surfer's life and starting a new one. And that's what the first 2 issues really cover. But then 3 is when the Silver Surfer, the new storyline, sort of kicks in. And though there's a bit of context missing when you start issue 3, because apparently in West Coast Avengers Annual 2 and East Coast Avengers Annual 16, some events happen in those that happen in between Silver Surfer issues 2 and 3. I didn't read those, and it was fine. I wasn't super lost, but Silver Surfer 3 takes place right after that. So it's like, oh my God, that was such a crazy, war we just went through. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. in issue 2, he wasn't in any war or whatever. So you're a little bit confused like when it starts, but then it's fine. You can check out those issues if you want to, but it's not mandatory. I didn't read them and I was fine. Also in issue 3, we get introduced to the more elders of the universe, like the Collector and the Runner, as well as the Kree and Skrull War is heating up. The Skrulls have currently lost their shape-shifting abilities, but the Kree have yet to discover that. So the Skrulls are doing whatever they can to make sure that the Kree never find that out, because if they do, then they're just going to go and slaughter the Skrulls, because their shape-shifting ability is what's kept them alive this entire time during this big war between them. So this also deals with the Infinity Stones, which in this one they're actually called the Soul Gems. All 6 Infinity Stones are called the Soul Gems. So even the Soul Gem itself is called it. So I think that's probably why they changed the names to make it Infinity Stones instead of Soul Gems, because it got confusing that there was one Soul Gem, but all the Soul Gems had different powers. So yeah, they changed that up. The main plot of this is basically it has to deal with the Elders, the Soul Gems, and some shady shit going on. So don't want to spoil too much of it for you, but that's just kind of like the main plot. And it's kind of cool learning about the Elders and the different ones out there. The oldest beings in the universe outside of Galactus are the Elders. Silver Surfer in these comics is so dramatic, and it is hilarious. In one issue, he just excuses himself to go off and have a soliloquy like some emo teen about like his love life, and just like, whoa, woe-is me. It's ridiculous. And then he comes back and acts like nothing happened. He's just like, excuse me for a second. It's like if you were like to excuse yourself politely from a conversation, go scream in a pillow and then walk back and act like nothing just happened. That's pretty much what Silver Surfer does. And this isn't the only time that Silver Surfer is dramatic in this. There are other times where he's like very dramatic. And it's kind of funny. So I'd recommend this. I'd pick it up if you want to learn more about Galactus, if you want to learn a little bit more about the Infinity Stones, which I always do. And this is before Infinity Gauntlet and anything like that, so you'll learn more about them. The Elders as well, you'll learn about them, and the Kree and the Skrull War, which is always a big part of the Marvel Universe going on, their endless battle. And then, yeah, it just gives you more insight into Silver Surfer, and just kind of like leads you on his new chapter of his life, and puts to bed the old Silver Surfer, and yeah, gets some new love interests as well are in this. It's a great read. I recommend it. I think you should check it out. And you can get it down below in the description of this video. It supports the channel. If you are interested, that would be a huge help. You can go ahead and click the link. And cool things about those Amazon links. If you click it and then you decide you don't want to buy it, and then you go and you buy something else, it still helps out the channel. It does. At least that's what I've been told. I don't know if it's actually true, but hey. There's that. I like to believe it's true. Thanks so much for watching and listening. You can check out the full podcast where I talk about all 3 Silver Surfer issues down below in the description of this video, either on Spotify or any of the other places you check out podcasts, or you can stay on YouTube and check out some of the other videos I've done on Silver Surfer or the other characters that I have covered, like Spider-Man and Carnage, and I'm going to eventually get to some Doctor Strange, some Adam Warlock, and of course some more Spider-Man characters. I think probably the next batch is going to be going back to Spider-Man, Hallows' Eve, and some Black Cat. So look for that. I don't know if I'll make another one by New Year's. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Thanks so much.